President Trump's $2,000 checks for Americans, and we finally received new details about this massive plan. Look at this. What to know about Trump's pitch for $2,000 worth of stimulus checks from tariff revenue? Well, this is what President Trump said recently in an interview to OAN Network.
How much are you thinking for that, sir?
Well, we're thinking maybe $1,000 to $2,000. Be great.
Yes, $1,000 to $2,000 worth of checks to millions of low and middle income Americans. Look at this. President Trump has again floated the idea of giving Americans stimulus checks based on revenue from his tariff. It started with $600 and now it's on $2,000 figure. I'm gonna give you each and every detail about this massive update, but all I need is just a little favor. It takes 2 seconds to please hit that like button on this video. So without any further ado, let's begin. $2,000 checks to millions of low and middle income Americans. That's the idea of President Trump. Well, here is the big picture. Trump is continuing to promote the revenue from tariffs as they receive pushback from the courts. Well, President Trump said that despite the government shutdown, I'm receiving billions and billions of dollars from these tariff revenue, and I don't need anyone's help. I can give what American people need, and stimulus check is a part of it, though he's calling it a dividend or tariff rebate check. It started with $600 from Americans Worker Rebate Act that has been introduced by Josh Hawley, and now it's up by $1,400. Yes, you heard it right. It's now $2,000. Look at this. Trump said on One American News television network in an interview that aired on Thursday that he's considering offering Americans checks from their revenue worth somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000. Yes, he said it, and Americans were shocked, and at the same time, a number of lawmakers as well, because a number of lawmakers are pushing this administration. And let me just clarify this, that we are talking about Democrats right here. Democrats are saying that inflation is here. The budget is a very important topic right now. But despite everything, Americans need some sort of relief, because according to the recent inflation data, the inflation is actually doubled in the last year in August. And now they are thinking about giving another relief or another stimulus check to Americans. Though according to Democrats, it's their idea, but President Trump is now talking about these checks because he wants to get back his popularity. And according to the recent reports or recent surveys, the popularity of President Trump is going down. And it's a great idea to give a relief or stimulus check to Americans so they can start trusting President Trump again. That's what the Democratic side is saying. But we all know that Americans are indeed struggling and they need some sort of support. And President Trump's words are actually a hope for millions of struggling Americans. Look at this. This is what President Trump said during the recent interview. We are going to do something. We are looking at something. Number one, we are paying down the debt because people have allowed the debt to go crazy, he said. Well, we'll pay back debt, but we also might make a distribution to the people, almost like a dividend. This is what I mentioned earlier, that he's calling these checks not stimulus checks, but a dividend to the people of America. And this is important. The biggest question is that what about the amounts? Is it going to be $600 as Josh Hawley introduced in his Americans Worker Rebate Act, which even Republican opposed? Or he's talking about $1,000? Because remember, the figure is actually between $1,000 to $2,000. Look at this. Tariffs are projected to generate more than $400 billion a year in revenue, and this is not it. As of June, the US has already collected more than $100 billion in customs revenue since Trump took office. So what President Trump is saying, he's actually trying to direct $200 billion from this tariff revenue, and he's willing to give this money to Americans. And this is what Fox News reported recently.
President Trump calling on the U.S. an economic power today as he floats putting $200 billion in tariff profits into America's pockets in the form of $2,000 stimulus checks. Here's what he said to me about this topic back in September.
You talk about the hundreds of billions of dollars that have come in because of the tariffs. Would you consider, where's that money going to go? Would you consider giving it back to taxpayers while they wait for some of the things that you just talked about to kick in? Is that an option?
Politically, that's a nice thing to do, but you can do that and you can also pay down debt because we're talking about very big numbers.
So which do you like better?
Both, maybe. I mean, I could see both.
So as you can see in an interview to Fox News, President Trump said that he's willing to do both the things. Means he's willing to pay down the debt with this tariff money, and at the same time he wants to give a piece of it to Americans who are struggling right now. Well, the problem is that if you remember that recently Josh Hawley introduced the American Worker Rebate Act. And under this act, $600 was stated, or you can say proposed, for adults, $600 for dependents, $1,200 for a couple, and $2,400. That's the maximum amount that a family of four can receive. But when it comes to President Trump, now he increased these checks by $1,400, which is a great thing. Well, if Americans are going to receive $2,000 worth of stimulus checks, it's going to be a great thing for them. It will actually not solve all of their problems, but a number of their problems. But the biggest question is that, is President Donald J. Trump really going to do it? Is he going to give this money to struggling Americans? And that's where I would like to ask you this very important question. Do you think that President Trump will give this $2,000 checks to Americans, especially to middle and low income Americans? Because if you remember, 2 months ago, when President Trump announced the possibility of these checks, he said that these checks will go to Americans who make a certain amount of income. So under this American Worker Rebate Act, it's stated by Josh Hawley that Americans who are going to receive those $600 checks are the people who make $100,000 and less a year. So it means that yes, these checks will go to the people who belongs to the low and middle class category. But now it depends on President Trump. Is he going to sign an executive order and then these checks will go to Americans? Well, technically, yes, he can certainly do that, but he needs approval from Congress. And now we are in the middle of a shutdown. How it's going to happen? And nobody knows. But one thing is very important, as President Trump talking about it, which is a great thing. And Americans are saying that US has money to give billions and billions of dollars to other nations, but US doesn't have the money to give to its own people. And this is the biggest question that literally everyone is asking right now. What is your point of view about this? Because this is important. Moving on with the details. Well, most of that $81.5 billion in total is from tariff imposed since January the 20th. So what we are watching, and this is important, the tariff will lower deficits by a combined $4 trillion over the next decade. The Congressional Budget Office said that in August, a substantial increase from its last projection from just June. But what about the stimulus checks? Well, Trump has floated the idea of new stimulus checks before. If you remember, around 2 months ago, as I mentioned earlier, Trump is the person who announced the possibility of these checks because of these tariff revenue. But so as the Doge checks. If you remember that Elon Musk also said that he's considering of giving $5,000 worth of Doge checks to Americans, and President Trump actually said yes to that idea. But what happened? Nothing. Well, now Americans are saying that it's time for us to receive the actual stimulus check, and we are not going to believe anything what Trump or other lawmakers are saying. If you want to do something, do it. Let me know in the comments below. What do you think about this whole situation? Because this is indeed a confusing situation for Americans. But right here on the Credit Viral Show, we try to give you each and every detail that you deserve to know, not just about stimulus checks, but about Social Security, SSI, SSDI, Survivor Pay, Veteran Affairs, Medicare. And talking about Medicare, do you know that Medicare enrollment starts from today? And here is the big opportunity. If you would like to save around $1,100 when it comes to your Medicare plan, and it's absolutely free, you know what you need to do? Call this number today on 212-461-4492 and get the help that you deserve absolutely free. I partnered with Chapter and they'll compare hundreds of plans for you absolutely free, and they can save you around $1,100 because that's the average amount they save for all Medicare plans. So make sure you give them a call today and get the Medicare plan that you deserve absolutely free. And you know what it means? It means that you can keep your doctors and won't end up overpaying. So if you have any questions at all, then please let me know in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer each and every question of yours, as Credit Viral channel will always be with you in your good and difficult times. A number of our subscribers are saying they're not receiving the notifications of our videos. If you are facing the similar situation, then make sure you click on the subscribe button, click on the bell icon so you can get the notifications of our videos every single day. And don't forget to smash the like button on this video, as it helps this video and the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video very soon. Till then, please take care and have a nice day.